Yeah, I've got a question here which says, what's the difference between saline and silicone implants? Good question. So basically, the difference is the contents of the implant. So when you have an implant, you've got contents and you've got a shell. And the two options for the contents are saline and silicone. Now, saline are kind of filled with saline, which is water, basically, salty water. We don't tend to use them in this country. I don't really know anyone, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone in this country who uses saline implants. I don't personally. I don't know anyone who uses saline implants. Put it like that. Personally, I don't. So there may well be someone in this country who uses saline implants, but I personally don't know anyone who uses saline implants, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone use saline implants. So I don't think we use them much in this country. They do use them a bit in America still, because silicone implants were banned for a while, so they had to use saline implants. But in this country, we don't really use saline implants. All the implants that we use are silicone gel. Now, even saline implants have got a silicone shell, but the difference is that it's like anything in life. There's pros and cons, and there's certainly pros of saline implants. The pros of saline implants are, if someone says, I don't want any silicone in me, and as I say, there was a time when silicone gel implants were banned in America because they thought they caused autoimmune diseases. They've subsequently been brought back. But even saline implants have got a silicone shell, so you still have silicone inside you if you have a saline implant. But I guess you could argue it's kind of less silicone. The saline implants, in one way, you could say they're kind of safer if they rupture, because it's just water. It's watery fluid, water. So it's all water. But one of the cons of them, along the same lines, is they can kind of deflate. They can lose. The water can sort of leach out through the shell, and they can deflate and lose volume. The other benefit is that you can put them in through a smaller incision. So if you've ever heard of the tuba, TUBA, transumbilical breast augmentation, where they use an incision around the belly button to put them in, because they can sort of feed them up into the breast. I'm not sure if that's a gimmick. I think it is a thing. Again, never seen it done, but I guess if you kind of put an empty plastic bag up through the belly button and fed it up into the breast and then glue it up separately, you could use a very small incision. So that's a benefit of them. The main problem with them is that they are just that. They are bags of fluid, so they're much more prone to rippling. And the deflation thing can be a bit of a nuisance if they deflate and lose volume. And the modern day implants are what's called cohesive gel, which means that if they do rupture, if the shell does fail, the silicone doesn't leak kind of throughout the body. It sort of stays in place. So the modern ones are safer if they rupture. So that becomes less of an issue with the concern of rupture. So in my practice, there's not a huge benefit of saline ones, and I would be particularly worried about rippling if I used a saline implant. But and also I haven't had much any experience with them because as I said, they're not commonly used in the UK. So yeah. So there's lots to decide when you're having implants: what type of implant, what shape of implant, whether you put the implant in front of or behind the muscle, the volume. So there's all sorts to decide. And saline and silicone is one decision to have, but if there's any strength in numbers, the majority in this country are silicone, although there are differences in terms of the shell, but in terms of the contents, the majority are silicone.